Hello, you guys. Just getting everybody logged on here. Bear with me. They're all coming in once. Admit, admit, admit all. All right, I'm going to keep adding people as they keep joining us. Sorry, I was a little late. I grabbed a phone call. You know how that goes. It always happens to me, unfortunately, but it is what it is. There's a couple things I want to talk to you guys about today. We're going to talk about AB 1436 and SB 1410. We're going to talk about Prop 21, and we're going to talk about this new expiration date on the eviction moratorium. I know everybody's excited about September 2nd. I want to talk to you guys about that and make sure we're all on the same page. So while people are still joining us, it seems that we usually get started at about 5 or 10 after. Just wanting to know if anybody out there has any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer. I try to keep these more as a group chat so that we can all discuss things and go from there, kind of like a property management support group. So I'm here to help you answer your questions, your concerns, talk about what's bothering you, help you with your challenges. And it works well in a group setting because a lot of us are dealing with the same type of issues, or we've just overcome that challenge and we have an easy way out or another way to approach it. So it's kind of like a property management support group, if you will.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Who can be first? Can I be first?
You can be first, Sarita.
Okay, here's my question. Okay. Whoa. I have a vacancy and the rent is $3,900, so that's a huge amount. I'm scared to rent it because someone could move in, stop paying rent, and here we go. Here I go for the ride. So any suggestions on how to vet in these times? I know you're starting to laugh. Okay. What is there something special that I can do to be anywhere?
Things that you need to do to protect yourself right now is everything that you've always done. The reality of the situation is if a tenant moves in today, they could lose their job tomorrow. That could happen to anyone at any given time. The risks have not changed, okay?
The risks have not changed? They seem like they got, okay, so there's just the same as before. You say the risk.
The risk is the same as before. People aren't traditionally moving right now just to take advantage of someone because of COVID. I'm actually not seeing that at all. People that are moving right now are paying their rent and they're moving forward in that fashion. Remember, they still have to qualify to rent. Right. So if they're getting unemployment benefits, which means they're not working, they may not make enough money to qualify for your property.
No, but let's just hypothetically say they do. Okay, I guess what I'm really asking this question, is there another qualifying thing I can add to my list of how they qualify to make it more stringent or make it more safe for me? In other words, I have the standard qualifications. You're saying anyone can lose their job the next day, but is there anything extra we can add to someone qualifying that I haven't used last year?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, what is
it? Tenant default insurance.
Okay, okay, that's perfect. I like that. Tenant. Okay.
Default insurance.
Okay.
Yes.
What's that number, guys?
Give me 2 seconds because my brain just had a blonde moment.
Yeah, I know. I have.
Because I'm entering people. Thank you for knowing that I too have blonde moments. Eric Jarvis is his name. And text me when we get off of here. I'll text you his information.
Okay, great. So that's one. That's really a valuable one that we have now.
Well, yeah, if they stop paying rent, this insurance kicks in. They hire your attorney. They pay your rent, loss of rents for 6 months. They cover your legal expenses. They handle that.
Awesome. I'm going to do it. What else?
That would be the only thing that comes to mind to help protect you against tenants not paying the rent. Right. Is default insurance.
Right. Okay, that helped a lot.
Okay, you guys, I got to turn this background off because it's going to make me get nauseated. Hold on. Remove. I want none. There we go. Hi. Now I don't feel like I'm floating. All right. Who else has a question?
I do.
What
That
you
was
got?
my question. I thought you were standing at the top of the Golden Gate Bridge.
No.
You just verified you're not.
I'm 4'8". I can't even see the bottom of that bridge.
That was a nice background.
Yes. Something different to look at. Hey.
That's all.
So no questions?
That's all.
If anybody else has a question, I'm going to take it. Otherwise, I'm going to jump right into what you guys really don't want to hear, but you need to. Okay? I'm going to start with Prop 21. It's going to be on your ballot in November. And you would do us all a great justice if you would click no on Prop 21. Okay? Just to give you guys a little bit of insight on what you're voting no against is, do you remember Prop 10 when they tried to pass statewide rent control and we beat them? They're back, okay? And now what they are trying to do is implement vacancy decontrol, meaning when your unit goes vacant, you can only increase by the allotted amount. You cannot bring it up to market value. They're also trying to add in there, oh, it gets nasty, that all dwellings over 15 years will have rent control. If you hold title in an LLC or a trust, it will be rent control. The only thing that's excluding is being held by individually named persons. Okay, so they're trying to really implement rent control across the state. That's Prop 21. Make sure you vote no on it, and make sure you vote everybody. Tell everybody you know, vote no on Prop 21. They didn't get everything they wanted with the statewide rent control initiative. We won some of those battles. They're back. They're trying to take that away from us yet again. So very stringent, very nasty there, just so that you guys are aware. No on 21, please, I beg you, and tell everybody that you know, because it's really going to be detrimental to our industry. Should this happen, we'll fall more under the guidelines of similar things of what they're dealing with in New York. Okay. So also want to talk to you guys. Hold on, somebody says something. Lee says, if Prop 21 passes, then when will it take effect? If it passes, most likely it'll take effect January 1st. The ballots in November usually change laws for January 1. Just saying. Okay. And we beat it last time. The chances of us beating it again this time are also high. We just have to spread the word. And you know there's going to be advertisements, and you know the tenants are going to take a dive at this, and they're going to make it sound much different and much confusing, because that's what politicians do. So just make sure that you're mindful of voting no on Prop 21. They want to add vacancy decontrol. They want to give rent control to all dwellings that are over 15 years old unless they're held by individually named persons. So Family Trust is going to have it if this passes. An LLC will have it if this passes. It's not just attacking corporate America, it's attacking all of us. So we need to make sure that we're addressing that accordingly and making sure everyone we know is aware. Vote no on Prop 21.
Patty, I have a question to open that up for just a moment. You know, like right now, for example, we have a couple of loopholes in that. For example, you're going to do maintenance or get permits. You know, you're going to work on your property, or if you're going to move in yourself. For example, do we know this Prop 21 if that would possibly apply?
They're going to try to take all of the things that we have to help us away. That's how you need to think about it. They're adding vacancy decontrol. They're going to make the statewide rent control initiative affect everything that's not owned individually or is older than 15 years. So, I mean, that in itself is ridiculousness, okay? So just trying to get everybody on the same page. 21's got a lot of hidden BS in there that's really going to tie our hands. Activists are actively fighting. Sacramento, I know AGLA's raising money for the PAC to fight it. They're a great organization. If you guys want to contribute or have the ability to contribute, they're a voice in Sacramento. And they do a great job. I talked to some of their lobbyists. I actually knew that our state was going to get locked down because of our lobbyists. So sometimes having those connections are really nice, but giving them the tools they need to go fight for us is just as important. So very important that we understand no on Prop 21 come November. We have 2 other pending legislations I want to talk to you about. Hold on. Somebody's asking me a question. Lee is, what if you own a duplex as an individual owner? Will that now be exempt? Hold on. This is a projected law. This will be on your ballot in November. I haven't gone that deep into depth over the actual bill and what all they want to change. And remind you, they'll sort it out a little bit more before it hits the ballot in November. And then we'll know exactly what we're voting on come, I would say, end of September, first part of October. We'll know exactly what it is that we're voting on and have a much better understanding of what is in there and what isn't in there. I just know that what I glanced over in the bill, it was enough to make me nauseated. Okay. But not to add insult to injury, we got more we need to talk about. So I also just want to talk to you guys about AB 1436. This allows residents to defer rent owed until April 1st of 2021. Tenants do not have to provide proof of COVID-related financial hardship to be eligible for this protection. They can self-certify. No late fees can be charged during this time, and if that wasn't bad enough, for 12 months following April 1st of 2021, landlords can evict for non-payment of rent that occurred from the COVID lockdown of March 4th of 2020 to April 1st of 2021. Even if the tenant entered into a repayment agreement and then missed a payment. This bill also prevents landlords from reporting unpaid rent that occurred during March 4th of 2020 to April 1st of 2021 and has language to make it retroactive to go back to March 4th, 2020. Therefore, once it passes, if it does, if a landlord is in the middle of an eviction for non-payment of rent, the landlord may have to dismiss the case. So keep your eyes open for that one. That's Assembly Bill 1436. I see that as being difficult for us. And then we have another one. It's Senate Bill 1410, and it's equally as bad, okay? But in my opinion, it's much more worse. The idea behind Senate Bill 1410 is that the landlord will forgive, not defer, but forgive rent that has occurred during the state of emergency once a COVID-19 eviction relief agreement is signed by the tenant. The tenant is supposed to then pay that rent back to the state of California over a 10-year period. The landlord, in place of the forgiven rent, would receive a tax credit in 2024. This is not a voluntary program for the landlord, as the bill requires the landlord to offer this agreement to the tenant. There is no specified date as to when the state of emergency will end. Moreover, the bill will be in effect until December 31st of 2034. If this bill does not this bill does not just impact evictions related to non-payment of rent. Under Senate Bill 1410, landlords are prohibited from evicting a tenant for any reason unless it's related to health and safety. We've already seen the disastrous effects of that type of restriction while this has all been in effect, because right now the only way we were able to evict is health and safety reasons. So if they're burning our house down, there's nothing we can do about it. So be mindful of those 3 things. No on Prop 21 come November. Keep an eye on Assembly Bill 1436 and on Senate Bill 1410. We just want to see how those come out. And then I know everybody's getting really excited about September 2nd, right? I know there's a bunch of you that are like, yes, we can start evicting. The moratorium expires. Hi. don't get sucked down that road, okay? I'm speaking from a very open-minded place when I say this, but I want to see if I can't get all of you on the same page in the book I'm reading called 2020, the year we're supposed to see clearly, right? If we're just getting the second wave of COVID and it's just starting to hit us, the second wave, we're not going to get taken off of the shelter in place order anytime soon. Let's be honest with each other, okay? If phase 2 is just starting to hit us, why are they going to set us free? They can't, okay? In the state of California, please think about the whole state of California and how we've operated before COVID, has an order to shelter in place by the government way up here at the top of the totem pole. How are they going to allow us to evict tenants who have all the rights in this state? Everybody following me? Let me explain. A moratorium means temporary law. So when the governor issued the moratorium to shelter in place, no evictions and no foreclosures, it was a temporary law. In order for it to be a temporary law, it has to have something they call a sunset clause. The sunset clause means the expiration date of the temporary law. That sunset clause is on September 2nd. Mark my words, on or before midnight of September 1st, the government legislation will either extend the moratorium and give a new sunset clause expiration date, or they will initiate CARES Act number 2 and extend it for a period of time. But if you're following the media and you really think that come September 2nd, September 3rd, we're going to be able to start evictions again, I believe you're sadly mistaken. You're looking for that false hope the media is driving you to. And I need you to back up and look at the big picture of how we've operated before this pandemic and during this pandemic, because everything benefits the tenants. That's not going to stop now. Okay? Just please, I beg you. And come September 2nd, when it gets extended and we can't evict, you're going to go, okay, she was making some sense here. But I just want you guys to think about what's happening. I want you to put those pieces together too, so you understand that I'm not trying to scare you or put you in a place of fear. The reality is we're all here together, okay? And right now, the Just Us system is just us, okay? And we're not able to use the protections that we normally do. Our hands are tied in several different instances because of government power, police power, if you will, and we're forced to follow their way of doing things currently and not what usually protects us, which is extremely difficult. So we may want to utilize other avenues such as cash for keys and forego the legal system, but definitely something you should talk to your legal counsel about. Anybody have any questions about anything I just talked about? Prop 21, which is on your ballot. I'm still letting people in, guys. So Prop 21, we want to vote no in November, and we want to tell everybody we know to vote no in November on Prop 21. We have Assembly Bill 1436 that allows residents to defer the rent until April 1st of 2021. And then we have Senate Bill 1410, which basically forgives the rent, doesn't defer the rent, it forgives the rent, and then wants to give us a tax credit, all the way back in 2024. So they want us to wait 4 years for the repayment by getting a tax credit. Ooh, whoopee. Anybody have questions about any of those 4 items or anything else before we move on today? Did I burst anybody's bubble?
Yes.
But is what I'm saying making sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. It's kind of like I want to tell you, don't follow the rest of the sheep that think that there's light at the end of the tunnel, because there is light. It's just not coming yet. Sorry. they're going to extend these protections. There's just no way they're going to tell us you can't go back to work, but you can be evicted. Just doesn't make sense, right? When you say it that way, it absolutely doesn't make sense. So please, I know I'm the dream crusher and the bubble burster, but I'd rather be open and honest with you than have you call me and go, I can't believe the government. Well, why did you believe them in the first place? You know, slow down, think about what they're saying. And then I wanted to let you guys all know I am doing a webinar next Wednesday. It's free for our members. We are doing keeping the tenant and landlord balance right. So keeping the balance right between landlord and tenant is what we're doing on the 26th. Yes, today's the 19th. I forgot what day it was. It happens sometimes. So just wanted to let you guys know, we'll do that an hour over lunch. If we go over, we may go over, which is fine, but I'm doing the keep the balance right between your landlord tenant, how you lose control, how quickly that can snowball on you, and what we need to do to correct it. Because my goal has always been work smarter, not harder. Okay? I don't like working hard. Can I? Yes. But if I don't have to and there's an easier way to do it, that's the way I want to go. Anybody else have any questions for today?
Yes, I have an unrelated question, Patty,
Hi,
to
Lee.
what you were just talking about. I have a tenant who's asking me for a written letter of reference. And in 50 years, I've only provided one written letter of reference, and that was for a mortgage. And it was a doctor that made over $1 million that really didn't need it. But this tenant is not only obnoxious, but she also is not providing access, and the property is really far away. So I drive all the way down to San Diego, and then she won't let me in. So I think she's afraid that if the new landlord would call me and ask me, you know, would you, the key question for any landlord is, would you re-rent to this tenant? And of course, my answer is no way. How
Your
would you?
answer, wait, Lee, your answer is, of course I would, if they qualified. That's your
Wait,
answer every
okay,
time.
So what do you mean by qualify?
They have to meet your criteria.
Beautiful.
So it's a nice way for you to get rid of them because you want them out of your house, right?
Uh-huh.
Can't get them to go anywhere unless you give them a good reference. So when they ask, would you rent to them again? Your answer should be, yes, of course, if they qualified.
If they qualified, IED?
Yes, in other words, they must meet your criteria.
Okay. And then when they're going to ask me, what would they need to meet your criteria? What would you say?
They need to meet my criteria, whatever your criteria is. And they're not going to ask you, but you could say they must make 3 times the amount of the rent, have a FICO score of 700 or higher. This is when
No,
you
they can't be malcontents. They can't deny access. They can't go, you know, destroying the property.
But that all becomes hearsay, and it's something the tenant could use against you later. So don't even go there. Just don't go there.
Right.
Don't expose yourself to it. How do you know that's not their friend calling and recording you, pretending to be a landlord?
Absolutely. And then well, I don't want to do anything in writing because, you know, I'm going to say this person has paid the rent on time, and that's about the only good thing they've done.
And they've lived here this long. And would I re-rent to them again? Only if they qualified. The rest of these questions are considered opinions, and I can't give that information out.
I have a question.
That's going to tell me, that's going to tell me as a property manager or as a landlord, this person is nothing but trouble. Stay the hell away from them.
Okay.
That's the message you're sending.
The rest of these questions are considered opinions, and I cannot answer them.
I will not answer them.
That's good.
I will not answer them. My policy.
My policy is not to give an opinion.
Okay, and can I decline the request for the written letter? I'd prefer just to speak to the landlord.
you can, if it is your policy and
Can you hear
procedure,
me?
yes, can you hear me? If it is
Yeah, I
your
can now.
policy
I
and
have an unstable connection.
okay, if it's your policy and procedure not to give written recommendations, then so be it. That is your policy and procedure. You're
Okay.
welcome.
Okay, okay.
Patty,
Right?
I have another question.
Yes.
Regarding leasing a property, and if you're looking for a long-term tenant,
Okay. If you're leasing a property and looking for a long-term tenant, what's your question? Okay, Sarita, I think you broke up because I lost you. Sarita, where'd you go?
I'm here now. Can you?
Yes, don't move and ask me the question again.
Okay, sorry. If I want to sign a 3-year lease and add a rent increase for the state law,
Okay,
like the first year is 2,000, the second year is 2,200.
okay, you can write an automatic increase in a fixed term rental agreement, but let's go backwards a little bit further. Are you the owner of the property?
Yes.
For all my property managers out there that manage people's investment properties, do not sign a lease for 1 year or longer. Only do it for just less than a year, 364 days, and I'll explain why. If you do a written rental contract for 1 year or longer, the agreement must be signed by the owner themselves, or it can be signed by the agent for the owner. However, they also have to include all the same disclosures that you would under the sale of a property. All the disclosures from the A and Aliquin Priest-Act all the way to the Z in zoning. So your rental packet goes from this to this like this, okay? Just saying.
Yeah,
So if it's 1 year or longer, have the owner sign it is what I'm saying. So Rita, you can do that. You can put an accelerated rent clause in there. However, if your accelerated clause, and mind you, the laws could change in the next 3 years, becomes over, you want to have a paragraph in there that says, or the maximum allowed by law.
Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Patty.
So
Okay.
just put that clause in there. It's this amount, and this amount, or the maximum allowed by law. That
Right.
way, you may have to adjust it to only 2% plus this, and it may be off, but that's what's going to help protect you.
Right. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, I see some written stuff at the bottom, so hold on, some people. J Tour, did you get in okay? And Alex is saying, you guys are all great. Everybody helps everybody, making sure everybody's on the same page. I love it. So I got a feeling that we're going to be on lockdown. Thank you. I got a feeling we're going to be on lockdown till December at least. I just want to know, do you guys feel the same way? Do you guys think that there's light coming at the end of the tunnel, or yeah, you guys think we're locked down too? Yeah, I'm trying to debate. Do I stay where I'm at? Do I come back to California? What do I do?
I have a question, you know, because we have the November elections, right? It's
Yes.
a political issue. Is that where your rationale falls into December, or completely a different rationale?
Completely different rationale. Honestly, and mind you, I'm just a blonde in this little world, okay? But here's my thinking, just so you guys know where I'm coming from. China was originally locked down for 7 months, released for 2, and then re-locked down. You guys remember hearing about that?
Yes.
And then just recently, I would say within the last 2 months, they've gotten their restrictions removed. But for the most part, if you see like pictures of China or articles of China, there's nobody on the streets. they're still sheltering in place, even though they're not required to. It's kind of odd. I have friends out in that neck of the woods, so they take pictures and send them to me via Facebook. It's great. But there's nobody walking around on their streets. It's like they become accustomed to being confined, if you will. Italy, still on lockdown. Okay, so looking over the fence, just like lawmakers do when they're trying to look at laws, my theory is, how long have other countries been locked down? Because that kind of sets a precedence of where we'll be, I'm guessing, because I don't know just as well as any of the rest of us don't know. But my theory is, what are the neighbors doing? Let's look at the neighbors, and you know, they're still locked down. So that kind of makes me think that we're not quite done with this just yet.
I understand. Then at the same time, in a worldview like the U.S., we're such a large country. We're probably in worse shape than most other countries. So the chances of us being having open borders, if you will, is probably be just further down the road than some of these other countries that are doing much better. And I think like a small indicator for me, what I always do is a sort of a tailwind, or just to get an idea, is look at the schools these days, and even internationally, look at their schools. And I have overheard, I've watched a few small outbreaks in some countries. For example, I think South Korea and Japan have had some small outbreaks. So those are sort of little bellwethers to see where we're going to go perhaps as well. So I understand the rationale. Thank you.
Well, thank you, because, you know, people ask me all the time, when's this going to end? Well, my crystal ball's broken. I don't know. But based on the rest of the planet, no, we're not done with this yet.
We're pretty battered as a country. We're pretty much
the civil unrest is unnecessary at this time. I get people are bored. I get people are at home. I get people are frustrated. But taking it out on our streets and damaging our monuments and public property and really hurting these small businesses. For those of you that don't know, acts of looting or rioting are not covered under your business insurance. It's an additional policy you have to purchase, just like you'd buy earthquake insurance or flood insurance on your house. Same thing with your business. So a lot of these mom and pop businesses, this is going to knock them all the way to the ground. They're done. And that's not fair. That's not right. Our community shouldn't be turning on each other. We as humans should not be turning against each other. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? You know?
I have another kind of a question along those lines. I just drove by one of our properties right now to see if the lawn was mowed, because I've had some issues with that. And the neighbor across the street just put their house up for sale. What do you think? Good time to be selling, or horrible time?
It's a seller's market right now, not a buyer's market. So if selling is something that you're been contemplating, I would talk to your agent. I'm a broker, but I don't practice real estate sales. I actually use someone for that. It's not a bad time if that's what you want to do. Here's me talking to you in real time, okay? If the market crashes after the presidential election, which I think it's going to crash. It's due to crash. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't already know. It crashes statistically every 10 to 12 years. We're past that mark. It hasn't crashed yet. Seeing all these properties selling and them not staying on the market long is a trigger that I saw in 05 and 06. Okay? Does that make sense? When they're selling as soon as they're hitting the market within a month, and they're gone, that's telling me something, okay? And then when it stops and it comes to a halt, hold on, the market crashes momentarily after every election. Yeah, but I think this is gonna be one of those ones that really affects our economy because of COVID as well. I think that we're gonna see this one hit really hard. But what'll happen is they'll say the market crashed, you'll see it in the stock market, you'll see values of properties, but then you have all these people in these homes. You have tenants in homes that are being foreclosed on. You have landlords, owners in homes that are being foreclosed on. That process takes time, okay? I'll give you a quick synopsis of how long it takes to do a foreclosure. A foreclosure is 3 months to the notice of default. You cannot file a notice of default until they're 3 months behind. Then you have to wait 4 more months for a notice of trustee sale. Then you can have the trustee sale at the courthouse, which is basically the foreclosure. Okay, now they foreclose, the bank owns it. Okay, we're talking about 7 months from now. Okay, on top of that, now the bank who owns it has to turn around and evict whoever lives there, whether it be a tenant or an owner. So you could be looking at another 90 days, you could be looking at another 6 months with however backed up the courts are because of COVID and all this other stuff. It could take a flipping year and a half. I don't know. But everybody's concerned about this wall of evictions coming. And the reality of it is it's more likely to be a wall of foreclosures. People are buying right now that can't afford to buy. Lenders are back to stated income, not factual income. They're back to option arm lending, but they're not calling it an option arm. But it's out there. Trust and believe me. Okay? So they're back to what caused all this to happen last time, and they're just doing it in a different direction. So it's only a matter of time before that all catches up and comes crumbling. If you're in a position to purchase, I'd wait. I'd wait and buy when the market's really low. That's the idea. Buy low, sell high. Buy low, sell high. So if you're in a position where you can sell some assets right now, that may be something that you want to consider. I'd talk to your CPA and those types of things, your financial advisor, and see if that's what's best for you.
There's something out there also, in the some opinions are on the radio the last couple of days. For example, they were talking about Warren Buffett as pulling a bunch of his bank stocks, and they're also talking about possibly these banks the next sort of foreseen future that they might be having some really big issues as well, based on foreclosures and based on all these issues of tenants not paying and things like that. So,
well, depending on when the bank's fiscal year ends, it could be end of June, it could be end of July, usually is when a bank's fiscal year ends. That's when they have to report to all their investors. So with that being said, my opinion, and mind you, it's just a guess, a shot in the dark, if this crash is going to go, it's either going to happen shortly after the election or right before or right after the bank's fiscal year ending. That would be my guess. But again, it's just a guess. Don't hold me to that.
Thank you.
It's an uneducated guess. How's that?
Hey, Patty.
Yes.
Can you go back and talk about the documentation like that you had mentioned with Sarita's question about if you are not the owner of the property and you're holding on to a lease for over a year?
Okay, so let me go way back, okay? If you're an agent for the owner, then you're a property manager, you're a sales agent, or you're working under a broker, or you're a broker, okay? Entering into a real estate transaction falls under leasing. If it's for a period longer than 1 year, you have to apply all the disclosures that you would with the purchasing of the home. So the earthquake fault lines, all the way from the A in the Aliquin Priest Act, which is earthquake fault line disclosures, all the way to the Z in zoning. You have to provide all the same disclosures you would if they were purchasing the home in the rental contract for periods over 1 year if you're not the owner themselves signing the contract. If it's over 1 year, you want the owner directly to sign that contract so you don't have to do all that other paperwork.
This applies even to a master sublease?
No, not necessarily. This would apply to residential dwellings.
Okay.
So it depends on how you're doing a master sublease, but for the most part, it would just be your residential dwellings.
So I guess the other question is there a place I can go to look this up?
Yeah, if you shoot me a message, I'll tell you, I'll send you the link. It's in BRE law under Department of Consumer Affairs and has to do with real estate sales and leasing professionalism.
Okay.
I want to say it's not a law, it's a business and professions code. Thank you. Took me a minute to get that out.
Okay.
That's a mouthful, right?
That's going to the archives, huh?
Yeah, sometimes you got to dig around in there for a while before something comes out. Sometimes it comes out at 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't control it.
Hey, I got a question for Nick. Where's that property located?
Nick,
What?
Where's the
He has a-
property located?
That I was referring to? Torrance.
Yeah. Okay.
It's up for sale if you're interested. The one across the street.
I might be interested in taking a look.
You want the address? Oh, I know this. I can give you the approximate address. I think it's 3625 181st Street. I just drove by this morning to making sure that my lawn was being mowed because my brother, I want to fire him. And
go back to the address, Nick.
huh?
Go back to the address.
Yeah, 3625 West 181st Street. I think that's directly across the street.
Is it a house or an apartment?
It's a house,
Okay.
probably around 2,000 square feet.
And so is it, it's not a FISBO, it's a realtor listed, right?
It is.
Okay.
And I didn't catch the real estate. I don't know who it's up by.
Yeah, you can find it on Zillow or
Yeah.
the MLS.
And I talked to him about 6 months ago when I was doing some gardening work, and he was talking about selling it, but I didn't think it was going to happen right now. That was within the last 5 days.
Well, I thought I missed the market when I sold my big house in August. I was so scared and sitting on pins and needles waiting for escrow to close because I didn't want the market to crash while I was in escrow. And I just knew it was going to happen to me, but it didn't.
Thank God.
Right? Just my luck, right? Oh, goodness.
Are you still in Tennessee right now?
I am in Pennsylvania. Next week, I'll be in New Jersey, and then I'm coming home. So I'll be back in California next month.
See, I thought you were in San Francisco with that background.
No, I'm in Pennsylvania.
I'm teasing.
I'm in Pennsylvania, and I think next week I'll be on the Jersey Shore for about a week, maybe 2 weeks. So I love it over there. It's nice.
Don't come back with none of those accents now.
Oh, no. And it's funny, everywhere I go, people are like, you have an accent. You're from California. And I'm like, really? You can tell? Hold on,
Hey,
sir.
Patty, are you looking to buy anything out there?
Eventually, yes.
I had some investors of mine that had some opportunities just outside of Pittsburgh, if you're interested.
I'm more closer to Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, on the eastern side of the state.
And ironically, I'm sitting on a 20-acre farm. I'd love to build on it. Right?
I'm surprised the Amish actually have electricity where you are.
Yeah, I'm not in Amish country, believe it or not. I'm more in farm country. So they grow a lot of corn and sunflowers out here. Weird, huh?
How about pulling up a big mobile home?
I don't know. I don't know. They don't hold their value like they used to, but things have changed. I get it.
Well, how about a double wide?
No, what you need to do is you need to get it on.
Yeah.
You need to get it on fee land. If you get it on, yeah, if you get a mobile home on fee land, then you're okay. That's not controlled by a park. That's where you're.
Well, we're on 20 acres of privately owned land that's paid for, so
Right. Right.
you complain.
No, it's
Yep.
all good.
I'm in. Sign me up. No, it's just very different here. The sounds of the night are very different here. It's just a nice decompress, you know? Getting back to nature.
Good. It's important. So
Yes,
Nick
most-
Equilibrium.
Patty, I'm gonna jump off. Good seeing you.
It's always good seeing and talking to you, and I'll see you guys next week. We're doing that one for keeping the balance right between landlord and tenant, and I'm going to use some of your guys' stories to help you get the hang of what I'm trying to implement here. So hopefully we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything? Nobody? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this for this week. I'll see you guys next week. You guys know how to find me if you need me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Other than that, stay safe, wash your hands, and find something to do to entertain yourself that's productive. All right, you guys, have a good one. Bye-bye.